Welcome to the Shiproom, where we learn from tech leaders at some of the world's most successful companies. I'm Brad Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Microsoft 365. Hey, welcome to the Shiproom. I'm joined today by Matthew Jafarian, the Executive Vice President of Business Strategy for the Miami Heat. Matthew, the Heat are one of the premier teams in the NBA with 3 championships and 5 conference titles. But the franchise also has a reputation about being one of the most tech-savvy operations in the league.
Brad, I think I have the best job in the world, working for the Miami Heat and American Airlines Arena. And our division's job is to go into every other department, and they're our customer. Our job is to make their lives easier however we can. And the goal is to go from being the small business that we were about a decade ago and acting more like the multi-billion-dollar organization that we are today.
Hey, wait a second. You had sent me something. I got to get a little bit more
nice.
ready to go here. You and the Miami Heat have this reputation for being just well ahead of the curve when it comes to how you use technology. How do you as a leader set this tone within your organization that says, hey, we're going to be modern, we're going to think modern, we're going to work modern?
I don't know if our goal is to be modern as much as it is to be the best. The culture of the organization is set by Pat Riley. This guy, he's a living legend. He's won championships as a player, as a coach, as an executive. But you can't just walk into a room and flip a light switch. You have to really do 3 things when it comes to change management. First is you have to come up with a good solution. If you're gonna stick your neck out and say, we're gonna do this, you have to make sure you've got the right idea. But you're never going to convince 100% of the audience. We follow the rule of thirds, right? A third will be for it, and a third's gonna be against it. They're always gonna be against it, right? You see that every day in the news nowadays. And we focus on the third in the middle. This neutral third, we need to convince that this is the right thing. And if we do that, then we've got consensus, and then we move forward. And that takes us to the last component, is we need to execute. We under-promise and over-deliver. And if we execute and we do that 3, 4, 5 times, then we built up a lot of credibility, and the innovation just gets faster and faster.
Whenever I see bilingual proficiency listed as one of our guests in their LinkedIn profile, I get excited because I love learning about the colloquial phrases that are used in different languages. Now, your parents moved to the US from Iran, so I have some Persian idioms here, and I'd like you to read them and then tell me what the actual meaning is.
Pidarsag. Okay, so Pidarsag literally means your father is a dog, and it's not as harsh as it sounds. In fact, the person that calls me Pidarsag the most is my mom. It basically means like, hey, you're being a little rascal, Pidarsag, but it's actually a term of endearment if said the right way. Zahremar. Zahremar means the poison of a snake, and it's a really sort of artistic way of saying shut up. Like, stop talking, Zahremar, I'm done listening to what you're saying. There's something, I've heard a lot in my life.
All right, here's the last one.
Oh, Jigaramani literally means you're my liver, and it sounds strange, but it's something that a mother or father would say to their child. It's just a way of saying I love you. Jigaramani.
I recently read an interview you did where you talked about how you inherited some older architecture and some old contracts when you started in your role, and so you had to make some decisions about what to keep and what to throw out in order to modernize.
There was 2 main themes, and one of them is really has reached critical mass already, and that's the transition from on-prem to cloud. A lot of benefits there, but it was a little challenging in the beginning when you tell folks that, hey, we're going to go into somebody else's servers, and they're going to say, well, we own this server, we manage this server, and I would challenge and say, is that really a good thing? Is this our core business? We're a basketball team. Or are we in the cybersecurity world? Why don't we give it over to Microsoft? If they can do it for the Department of Defense, they can do it for the Miami Heat. The cybersecurity benefits are just the beginning. The well-integrated ecosystem that we then tap into and all of the resources that are available, both for our non-technical people, our staff, our sales staff, these folks, and our really technical people like our developers. Then the second transformation for us was something that's less talked about, but it was a transition away from custom development to relying on baked platforms. So for our mobile app that was moving away from custom code and going to a mobile application development platform, for our e-commerce presence that was going away from a patched together website to moving to an e-commerce platform, and for our business applications, that means now getting away from spaghetti code that's really difficult to maintain and moving over to Microsoft's framework so that 80% of what we need is already available out of the box, and then we can focus on the last 20%, making it customized for our needs.
Yeah, spoken like a true software engineer, one of the things that I have seen that is the biggest inhibitor for organizations' agility and getting onto what I call the cloud cadence is all the custom spaghetti code that they've created that just kills agility.
It doesn't just kill agility, which you're absolutely right, but then you have all of the non-technical folks in the organization asking, what are those guys doing in the corner over there? What are they doing all day? It's because they're spending all this time on maintenance. By getting out of that world, then they start to see all the feature releases and they see the impact of the technology, and they're not just spending all their time making things run.
Welcome to the Shiproom. We have Matthew on the line here. Who's this?
It's Professor Tiberius Wainsworth. I believe you've heard of me? Lately, I've been doing a lot of research on the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association.
What got you interested in that?
It was a bit of an accident. I was under the impression this research grant wanted me to write a book about cashmere boating ascots, but I misunderstood the fine print. No matter. The Miami Heat have a team in the NBA's developmental league called the Sioux Falls Skyforce. It's a tremendous little place in South Dakota that has never laid eyes on a boating ascot. I'll bet you dollars to donuts. But the team was once part of the CBA. Those old CBA teams had some tremendous names, so I'm going to read Matthew a list of team names, and I want him to tell me if it's a real CBA team or not.
Let's do it.
Topeka Sizzlers.
I love Sizzler. I'll say it's a real name.
Yes.
I like that name.
Tulsa Fast Breakers.
I think it's just a bad enough name for it to be a real name.
Atlanta Crunk.
Not a real name.
Provo Pork Bellies.
I'm sensing a theme here. I'll say it is a real name.
Are you kidding me?
Oh.
Sheboygan Admirals.
Not a real name.
Cincinnati Slammers.
Real name.
Wichita Texans.
I'm gonna say it's a real name.
Excellent work. This will truly advance my ongoing research. Oh, one last question. You have a deep background in software development. With this type of expertise, how do you go about evaluating and testing the software you will use in your organization? And when you were evaluating Microsoft 365, what stood out to you?
Yeah, good question, Professor. So my background was I developed, helped build and helped sell software back in the startup days. So you wear a lot of different hats, and I was actually on the other side of the table. So it gives me a unique perspective now when I'm on the buy side. When I'm judging a potential vendor, not only do I judge their technology, you really need to understand the people that you're going to potentially partner with long term. But I don't just look at the technology where it is today. I mean, we are in a SaaS world where software is constantly changing. So, I don't just want to see what your product does now. I want to know your vision. I want to know your roadmap. Show me where you're going to be, and that's what I'll buy into. And that's exactly why we bought into Microsoft 365. You have a fully integrated ecosystem where the right hand talks to the left. And a lot of the employees at the Miami Heat don't even realize how well integrated it is because it just works. And that's what we really appreciate.
Most big organizations are in a situation now where they essentially have too much data, and that valuable signal ends up getting lost in the noise. How do you find insight and then take action on all the data streams that you have? And what do you do to foster a data-centric or data-driven culture in your team?
Some organizations look at data just for data's sake. We look at trying to solve problems. And if you allow me, I'd love to phone a friend. Along with me is Edson Crevecoeur. He's the VP of Strategy and Data Analytics, one of the smartest guys I know. Can I pull him in?
You know what? There's a first for everything. This will be our first 3-person conversation on the Shiproom. By all means, bring him on.
Great.
Hey guys.
Nice to meet you.
Go Heat.
Tell us about some of the things that you're doing with the heat and kind of how you drive that into the culture of your team.
You have to get executive buy-in. If you have an organizational leader that just doesn't get the value of data, it'll be very difficult, I could say almost impossible, to establish a data-centric culture. What you can start with is delivering proof of concepts that can demonstrate the tangible value of using data, and you will see that translate into demand for more. Second is that you need to partner with the subject matter experts in the organizations. These are the people who actually are the gatekeepers of business knowledge that everyone turns to for an answer. They're the ones who are going to be able to identify all of the valuable elements, all the key insights in your data streams that provide insights into your business and why.
I don't know if you've noticed this during your time living in Florida, but the Florida Man headline meme is a beloved fixture of the internet. And I want to really engage with this material by reading some headlines that contain a missing word. And I want you to draw upon your experience as a citizen of the Sunshine State to fill in the blank. Florida man is arrested for reportedly tossing a blank through a window at a drive-thru. Is that blank an alligator, a water balloon, or a 20-pound bag of potatoes?
I mean, since it's Florida, I'll have to say it was an alligator.
Florida man swindles $12,500 from casino by pretending to be the manager of his own destiny, the Village People, or a local GameStop.
Local GameStop.
All right, last one. Florida man is arrested for stealing 66 blank from a hotel. Is that shower curtain rings, Bibles, or toilet paper rolls?
You know, I'll go with toilet paper rolls.
This must have happened back in February and March when they were like a super hot commodity. I've seen how outspoken the Heat have been about issues of diversity, social justice, and your organization even has its own line of clothing of court culture in the online store that supports these concepts. Tell me more about how you focus on diversity and inclusion in your organization and how, in your role, you can support the way your company has made this such a priority.
This is something that's been near and dear to our organization since before 2020. We look like Miami. If you look at our employee base, we look like our fan base, and that's by design. And we're really fortunate to work in an organization that embraces that, because not only is it good for the community, it's good for business as well. I'd love to bring Edson in. He's got some thoughts on this as well.
I think our approach to diversity actually is just simply good for business. Not only do we help to solve like some of the needs that we have in terms of finding the right people with the right skill sets for the right roles, right? Having them near us within our market is actually much better for us than trying to recruit folks from outside of the market. And the second part is with the level of diversity that we have at the Miami Heat, it allows us to engage with other organizations, both within the continental United States, but also outside of the country, because we have many people who can speak a multitude of languages. So we find that investing in diversity in our hiring practices actually positions us to be very competitive as an organization.
Well, hey, thank you for hanging out with us on the Shiproom, Matthew. It really has been great for you to be here. Now, before we go, can you tell people if they wanted to find more about you or about the work you're doing at the Miami Heat, where would they go?
Look us up on LinkedIn, and we'd love to connect.
Thanks, Matthew, and thanks everyone for watching. I'm Brad Anderson for the Shiproom. We'll see you the next time.
Let me say, I love NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, so this is a dream of mine right now. This is a great game. Brad, now you have to be my voicemail.